This week, our cigar of the show is the Tatuaje Pork Tenderloin from 2016. We will be discussing the tragic tobacco trifecta, Beetles, mold, and other kinds of damage. Fidel Castro surviving assassination via a cigar. The best sites to buy cigars online. The Oliva Series V 105th Anniversary Edition European cigars. Best Butane Torch lighters. CAO Amazon Basin. Cigars and champagne. And so much more on this episode of the Stogie Geek Show.
This is Security Weekly. For security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. Joe and I are already silly.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Hozempa, a.k.a. Joe Hollywood, is here with me in studio.
I'm fired up. So we also have Remote Drew, who is remote over in Texas. Look at you. You got some Stogie Geek swag going on in the background.
Got my banner.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm all set up for the Stogie Geek mobile lounge.
Confidence. Confidence isn't walking into a room with your nose in the air, thinking you're better than anyone else. It's walking into a room and not having to compare yourself to anyone in the first place.
Cigars, perfected for more than 150 years. Yours to enjoy now.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stogie Geek Show. I'm your host, Paul Lasadorian. Good to be here this Friday, January 21st, 2022, right here in G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, which we do actually have a Stogie Geek set downstairs. Maybe next time we should probably start using that, right? To my left on today's episode, Mr. Joe Hozempa is here with us. Joe, welcome.
Today is a good day. Pork tenderloin.
Pork tenderloin. It's the cigar of the episode. That's right. Mr. Bill Brenner is here with us. Bill, welcome.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Hey, thanks for coming down, making the drive from Massachusetts.
Well, I just bought a new car, so
you want
this got to be the maiden voyage.
No,
Nice.
oh, congrats. What'd you get?
Oh, I'm a plain guy, just a Toyota Camry.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice. That's awesome. That's awesome.
They're tanks. They just they last forever.
I'm a plain guy. Just, McLaren is fine.
A little Maserati action.
Mr. Jason Albuquerque.
Hey, what's
is here
happening?
with
I've been
us.
waiting for this day for a long time, fellas. I've been talking pork tenderloin for 30
I'm
plus
glad
days
you
at this
reminded
point.
me.
I had to.
He's like, dude, we were going to do the pork tenderloin. I'm like, oh.
I had
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I basically said to Paul, I remember the promise because it's been making me wake up with drool every morning, dreaming about the pork tenderloin. So don't you take that away from me.
These are highly sought after.
These are good.
They're very rare. I got, as when you find rare cigars, like, it's luck. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
really no other way around that when you find, especially in quantity, right? I ended up getting a bundle because I went to a cigar event in 2016, Mr. J's Savannah Smoke Shop, and I put my order in early. I was like, dude, like sight unseen. I don't know. I might have had one of the older ones. They were released in 2009-ish. Was that the first release? Originally a 2010 shop exclusive for Gloucester. Remember Gloucester Street Cigars? They did the pork chop and the pork tenderloin. Remember the meat packaged cigars? I think it was some of, if not the first, like meat packaged cigars. I think it's been copied since then. And then in 2016, Pete Johnson brought back the pork tenderloin, and so that was interesting. And again, I happened to go to a cigar event, and I was like, I hadn't smoked the new one because, like, who knows when these limited cigars are released like that with that much time in between? I'm like, are these going to be as good?
Yeah.
And I was the first one to kind of take the risk and go, I'll take the whole bundle. And
what were those bundles of 25 at that point?
Maybe 20.
20.
It wasn't a very big bundle. But it comes in the meat
Or did you just smoke them fast?
I didn't know, because I mean we've been smoking. So these are the last 5. So there's one left.
Yeah.
One left. But I wanted to smoke them before they got aged out, right? That's because you let them sit too long, they might not be as good. He released a pork chop in 2009 as well, and I think I might have had a pork chop, and it's right up there. Cigar Coop is where I'm reading from for this review, because he happened to have a review of the 2016 release, and right up there with Barclay Rex and some of the other more limited T110, which was re-released, very different from the original though. So this is Connecticut Broadleaf, a Nicaraguan binder and filler, of course, from Nicaragua, from My Father Cigars. It's a 5 1/8 by 52. Again, you can see in a lot of the reviews, it's got the meat packaging on there. So it looks like you're buying a slab of meat, except it's how many are in the bundle? Does it say how many are in the bundle?
I think it says 25.
25. No, there were 25 in here. Wow, yeah, we did some serious smoking of these in the past 5 years.
I figured as much.
Yep. And it's good. I mean, it's a wonderful cigar. It really is.
No, it is. It's really good. I got and I don't know. I mean, I had a coffee on my way in, but I definitely got hints of coffee. My first draw, a little bit of that coffee, earthy flavor.
Yeah.
This cigar
like a
had
cup of
ruined
Sumatra.
me, and it is the basis of conversation that comes up for me weekly.
Weekly,
Because we work remote, and sometimes remote includes a cigar shop. And when you're done, you finish, and someone always asks me, "What's your favorite cigar?" And I'm like, "Non-Cuban." They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, right off the top of my head, Tatuaya Pork Tenderloin. Like,
It is Joe's favorite cigar.
and if you go back and go to any StogieGeeks.com,
it's the cigar.
it's been that way since 2016.
Yeah.
So
Joe, make sure you take the last one out of the humidor when you leave.
No,
It's yours.
actually,
it's yours because it's your favorite. I feel like you enjoy this cigar more than anyone else. So make sure you take that last one and smoke it.
But just so you know, this cigar is the reason why Paul created the F-off section in the humidor.
Is it?
Yes, because
the infamous F-off
yes,
section.
out of all the sticks
See, but
that
I
he
stole
collects,
that. I stole that from Paul Joyle though, because in Paul Joyle's old walk-in humidor, Paul had his section. So like a few of the members had their various sections, because his humidor was not as large as the humidor space he has now in the new facility, and he had his own little section in there, like, these are Paul's personal cigars, and he labeled it "fuck off." So I was like, that sends a very clear message to people. So I copied that. It was Paul who came up with that.
But you gotta
different Paul.
But you gotta understand the office politics, right? Back when Paul bought these, Paul had a cooler. He didn't have the humidor with there they have now.
Yeah.
So I could take things and fluff things up in the cooler.
Just
and then
rearrange some things.
Joe was the fluffer.
And so when Paul came back, he's like,
Still is.
I remember the conversation. He goes, "How many come in a bundle?" I'm like, "I don't know, like packages
maybe
of
15.
10,
15 of the pork tenderloin.
I did say, like, I don't know, packages of 10 or something like
All right,
that.
never mind. That last one's mine then.
And honestly, you should have it because actually,
Because I've stole so many from you.
I smoked all the other 20 that were in there.
hey man, I'm an honest pirate. And actually, you remember on the show when I was saying like I'm gonna raise the pirate flag, and like raid Paul's humidor, and like I call myself like a self-proclaimed cigar pirate. Like seriously, like it's because of this stick. Like this stick is like the nucleus of my palate.
I love it.
So I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah. I knew I would the second I grabbed the stick and you looked at me and said, "Be ready to be ruined."
I'm telling you, dude.
I agree with the coffee.
I don't think I'd ever seen him so passionate.
No, and if you retrohale this thing so
I just did.
slow,
I did a couple
like
times
so slow,
already.
you're like, it's just such, it's so in depth.
Yeah.
And what I like about cigars in
complex.
general is there is transition. There is some that like don't transition.
Yeah.
But this cigar will have transition too.
Yeah.
So it has transition and depth,
Yeah.
and it's amazing.
Well, I think you nailed the flavors. Mocha, black pepper, and earth is what Coop called out in this review. And the black pepper has probably dissipated in the past 5 years, but I still think we're right. You get that chocolatey mocha chocolate.
I'm telling you, I got that black coffee
and
taste.
you get some
like,
earth.
It was great. And
I
earth,
think
yeah,
we-
earthy.
yeah.
No
The only
doubt about it.
component I would add in there would be leather, especially towards the end. You're gonna get like hardcore like leather.
I'm wondering if the peppery will come out as I start hitting the second, third, or
It might.
last third.
It might.
You'll be surprised. It's just amazing.
Mr. Adrian Sanabria has joined us remotely from an undisclosed location in a cigar shop.
Yep, that's me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, what's going on, Adrian? Nice to have you.
Yeah, so bad news. They didn't have the cigar that you guys are smoking.
Yeah, I know.
Shocker.
Sorry. Yes.
We kind of figured.
What'd you end up picking out?
A Kajonu?
Kahonu.
Oh,
Kahonu.
that's why. Actually, ironically, it's the same. It's the same.
Is that a broadleaf? The Kahonu. Are there two different kinds of Kahonu? One with a broadleaf, one without. That doesn't look like broadleaf.
But it's the same. It's same. It's still Pete Johnson.
Yeah.
Ironically, how you picked that out. So that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Good choice.
I asked for a recommendation, so that's where they sent me.
Those are actually really good.
They are good.
Not as good as the pork tenderloin, though.
I wasn't gonna say that.
Sorry, Adrian. Love you, man.
I'll tell you though, the draw on this is amazing.
Woo.
I tell
Absolutely
you what,
amazing.
they call it Paul syndrome for a reason. My draw on this one, thankfully, is awesome. And it's usually on Fridays. Whatever cigars I pick up on Fridays, they have construction issues.
Yeah.
Whether it be a void, whether it be plugged, or unraveling, whatever. It's burn issues. You ever have the burn issue?
Is it just because it's Friday and you're just hammering through it?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. You ever had the burn issue where it looks like it's burning normal?
Yeah.
And then, like, about an inch beyond the burn line, you get a hole that's burning in the side of your cigar?
I've had that happen.
Yeah.
I thought it was because I was just pulling on it too fast.
No. You know what
Smoking it too
that
fast.
is, actually? Different parts of the binder and the filler and the wrapper, basically, all the leaves burn at a different rate.
Yeah. Got it.
And the goal of the blender and the roller is to make sure that it's like rolled correctly with the right ratio and the tobacco in the right location so that it burns as
Evenly
the
as-
blender
got it.
intended. So I think it's likely a mistake by the roller, maybe putting a leaf in the wrong position that has burned faster and hotter.
Gotcha.
And caused that hole. That's the way it was explained to me, which makes sense. I always thought it was like magic, like this cigar is cursed. What is going on? Yeah, that's what it is. What else you guys been smoking recently, cigar wise? That is, that you've liked. I know Mr. Albuquerque is like you're hardcore into it right now. You're buying humidors.
Oh yeah. I just had the Epicurio Pledge, the #1 cigar of last year. Really good, strong cigar. Very strong cigar. Really good though. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I really liked it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us about your new humidor though. You get the little frigidor, right?
I did. So in my hygrometer app, the Govee app, I named it LL Coolador J.
I love it.
Right. Because I have the old girl, who's my 1930s humidor.
Right.
I got my Black Beauty, which is my box. So LL Coolador J is the bomb. It's an Odu 300.
Odu?
Odu.
How do you spell that?
AUDEW.
AUDEW humidor.
300 Coolador.
Yeah.
And she's really, really nice. I set out to season it. I expected a week. She leveled out in about 2 days. I still waited a couple of more because I just didn't trust it. She was dead on in 4 days. So I started filling it. Now I need to buy more cigars.
Is this a rebranded refrigerator? Like
I don't think so. Odu's its own company.
Well, because it used to be that you'd go to like Home Depot or buy on Amazon like a regular refrigerator that was.
This was not like a
thermoelectric.
Winador.
Yeah. Okay.
This is specific for cigars.
Yeah, so other companies will actually take the thermoelectric cooling components, and like Avalo puts those in cabinets. I have one of those cabinets that has the thermoelectric cooling unit. It sounds like they basically they probably sourced a customized, they fabricated, they did the design, someone else fabricated it and ships it to them, which is an amazing kind of evolution of these Winadors, as we call them, or this is more, I get the distinction now. A Winador is you take a fridge that was meant for wine and you convert it to a humidor, and a coolador is one that was designed from the ground up.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's what you want to go for.
Yeah, and I put a picture of the new school and the old school in Discord so people can see.
Yeah.
I customized it. I did a little custom LED in the back, and she's really cool. I ordered, you can buy more of the deep drawers, so I ordered another deep drawer for it. Yeah, she's nice.
If you ever want to go shopping, Paul will tell you I love spending other people's money. So you just let me know.
Let's go on a tour together.
Yeah, we can.
Let's go on a tour.
I can take it to some good spots.
We can go cigar bar hopping.
You could do that a lot here in Rhode Island. So I sent Joe a list that I had made on Facebook. Facebook has this thing where you can create a list. Because I needed a way. I probably should have just bookmarked them, but I think I might have been in the app.
I just had a brilliant idea.
So a list like you can do on Twitter?
Yes. And so I created a list of, so there are pages in Facebook of every cigar store and or lounge in Rhode Island that I could find. Was there like 30 something?
It's 39.
39.
There's 39. And
Joe,
and
that 39.3.
And that doesn't count like the gas stations and the hookah lounges that have some stuff like that. You know, the ones in South Providence, stuff like that. But you know.
So I have a brilliant idea. I've been on a couple of these, but it's usually the breweries.
It's a bus tour.
The bus tour.
They do
you get the booze cruise. You get the booze cruise bus.
Yep.
But instead of going to breweries, let's go to cigar bars.
I already have that priced out whenever you want to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
We've talked about doing that.
We talked about doing that.
I'm in.
The key is getting a bus that you can smoke on.
That's hard, but the good news is Rhode Island is only an hour apart. And since you're going to go smoke the places, it might not be an issue. Because you can drink.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So we got to find a workaround.
I still want to be able to smoke. I still want to be able to smoke on the bus.
Yeah.
You know, car dealerships have the ionizers. That's how they refurbish the cars.
The rental car ones.
I happen to know if you're in Rhode Island, you would know the name, car dealership. And I won't say who it is because he gives me some inside baseball sometimes.
Gotcha.
And one of the inside baseball things, and because I've bought multiple cars from him and traded in multiple cars, and I'm like, dude, I was trading my old black truck. It had cloth seats. I smoked a lot of cigars in it. I mean, like a lot of cigars, and it stunk so bad. And I'm like, dude, I feel bad. Like it really smells. He's like, no, it's fine. He's like, we take this device. It's like an ionizer thing. I think rental car companies might use them too. And they place it inside the vehicle. They seal everything up, and they let it run for like 24, 48 hours.
In your case, it was a week.
Probably longer. And it pulls out all the smells from the inside. You probably need a couple of them or a larger model for a bus, but totally doable.
So I need that for my man room.
Yeah, right?
That's what I need for my man room.
Well, in a man room, I mean, you do get that stale smell regardless.
Yeah.
The key with the man
stick
room,
into the plaster. Like, it gets into the plaster, right? I mean,
it does.
Even if you have I have all leather or pleather.
Well, you should use
furniture,
like
right? So nothing that it's going to, like...
On the drywall, though, you should use like a semi-gloss
like
or glossy paint to
stop that.
To slow it down. I don't know if it necessarily stops
I wonder if that
it.
paint you can use in your bathroom so you don't get, like, the humidity.
Yeah, probably.
That same idea.
But in your man room, right, you got to replace the air. That's the key.
Right,
and we've talked about ventilation. It's actually interesting how it kind of tied into COVID. In some ways, I feel better and safer in a cigar lounge where the air is being replaced every 5 minutes.
Right.
And that's actually was some of the recommendations for COVID. And hospitals don't do it in every room, but usually there are rooms, like if the rare case of TB comes in, they'll actually put them in these special rooms that it's constantly swapping the air out.
Because I'll tell you, right now, when Rhode Island is tundra, it sucks to smoke a cigar outside.
Oh, yeah. You can't smoke a cigar outside in the winter. And,
I have.
Oh. So you don't have a man room yet, then?
Well, no, I do. I don't want to smoke in it yet.
Oh, why not?
Because I don't have the ventilation and
the
ionizer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the smoke eaters. I prefer smoky air out, fresh air in. And then maybe an air freshener just kind of on top of that.
Yeah. I need the system. I need to put a system in there.
Yeah. You can get, they're expensive.
I know.
You've looked, haven't you?
Yeah. I have.
The CFO isn't approving the expense, is what you're saying.
That's right. You know it. I got to keep getting. I got to keep getting these new humidors.
That's right.
Adrian looks like he has a burning point to make. Memory to share.
Well, no, it's not burning. It's just an anecdote. But I actually had a client out in Blair, Nebraska, and I swear this was the last workplace where it was legal to smoke in the U.S. inside. And their break room, I remember going into the break room, and the walls and the ceiling, like the walls were just dripping with nicotine, just yellow nicotine. Like 50 years of people smoking in this break room. The ceiling, the walls, everything was just coated in nicotine. It was nasty.
It is gross when it does that.
I just scrolled down that Cigar Coop article that you were reading.
Yeah.
And it gives it a rating and a value and a score. And it says the value, fight Chuck Norris for them.
Yeah, that's our rating system. We developed that rating system. Yeah.
That is awesome.
We at Stogie Geeks developed that rating system, and we encourage everyone to use it too, because we were tired of just seeing the number score. What does 89 versus 92 score really mean, right? Like the score should have meaning. So we created a whole rating system.
The answer might be accounts receivable is up to date, so it's a 91. And if the accounts receivable is not, it might be an 89.
Right.
Just putting it out there.
Just putting it out there. You know what I mean?
So we go all the way from a lawn mulch to the angler to a try one, the fiver, the box split, the box worthy, the fight Chuck Norris, and the Oasis, and one that isn't, it's semi-official, and that's a throw it over the boat.
Yep.
Throw it over the side of the boat.
Then there's also...
That was a story from Stogie saying when he went on a cruise with friends, someone handed him a dog rocket of a cigar.
Yeah.
And he goes, I literally took a few puffs and then I pitched it right over the side of the boat.
Not only am I not going to smoke this, nobody else gets to smoke it.
Should ever smoke. Never. Right over the side of the boat.
You also have box split with a friend in there, which I've used in the past for cigars that are kind of hard to get or might be expensive, and you can,
Doesn't have to be a friend either. I mean,
sure.
Box split with someone. Of course, if it's 25 count, I mean, you're not breaking cigars in half. Don't do that.
There should be a rating. Joe's going to steal these.
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of breaking cigars in half, this was a tragic story. So the blog hasn't been updated in a while, but I love Tobacconist University. I think they do a wonderful job just all around. And this is the tragic tobacco trifecta of loss: Beetles, mold, and damage. Damage in general. This sounds like a commercial that you see. Like have you suffered Beetles, mold, and damage in your humidor? If so, please call
your doctor.
Please call the Stogie Geeks for therapy and a class action lawsuit.
Or a bottle of red wine can start to clean it up.
Yes. Well, if there's some mold funkiness going on the outside, that was Manuela Noah from La Aurora said to dip a rag in, or paper towel, in red wine, use that to clean it off, let it dry out, put it back in your humidor.
Really?
Yes,
Works
sir.
great.
And then it doesn't take the whole bottle, so then you can
drink the rest of the wine.
Yeah, you can drink the rest of the wine.
Now, how long do you have to let it sit afterwards?
A few hours overnight.
That's it?
Yeah. Cigar can sit out. Well, that's an interesting question.
Well, I mean, you're wiping it down with wine.
Correct.
So now I'm saying you stick it back in the humidor.
You don't stick it back in the humidor right away. You don't want to let the wine dry out.
Got it.
And if it has mold, it's probably a little too moist. Anyway, I use the word moist. I know. Beavis. It's too moist to put it in right away, is what I'm saying, Jason. So you got to let it sit out before you put it back in.
Oh shit.
Where are we going? We're talking about
We're talking about mold.
molds. Yes, molds. We're just
Class action
moisture.
lawsuits.
It's moist. The cigars are moist.
Well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
They tell an interesting story in here. There was so Tobacconist University, right? You can be a certified retail tobacconist. For that, you have to work for a tobacco retailer, a certified tobacco retailer. So there's a certified tobacco retail establishment, and then a certified retail tobacconist. And you have to work a certain number of hours in order to even qualify to get the certification. It doesn't automatically, just because you work there, you're not getting the certification. Like you could study, take a test, or you have to pass a test. So one certified retail tobacconist reported they had to destroy more than $13,000 in wholesale value of cigars due to mold.
That sucks.
Cigars were stored perfectly, but a flow valve on a humidor failed to stop the flow of water, creating an unseen puddle and soaking through a massive amount of cigars. Because we know cigars are like sponges. Also, the wood in the boxes they come in are like sponges as well. So it costs the retailer money in repairs. And as I say, mold is evil, and it will irreparably contaminate and destroy cigars. And it even happens to retail tobacconists as well. I think the moral of the story there is you gotta check.
Yeah.
You gotta do an inspection at a certain interval, right? And I get bad at this because I've got 3 cabinets I'm maintaining, and you don't always pull everything out of the cabinet as often as you should.
Right.
Yep.
You have to fondle your cigars more.
Yes.
No.
Check for moisture.
Fondle your
They
cigars
make
more.
devices. You can get devices that'll let you know if there's a puddle of water in something, though.
Yes, I agree, Adrian. I like using technology for this. There's moisture sensors. They make them for like basements in
hot water heaters.
Yeah, hot water heaters. Yes.
Yeah, it's just 2 contacts on the bottom of a battery-powered alarm with a speaker in it, and if those 2 contacts are connected, meaning it's sitting in water, it starts making a noise.
Yeah, or they have them for your smart.
Super simple.
You get an IoT device that sends an alert to your phone.
Yep.
When it detects moisture. Yeah, that'd be good. I had one of my humidors that did temperature, right? So I had a thermoelectric in there, and to catch the condensation, it had a drip pan kind of like in the back, and it has drawers in it. And I was, sliding the drawers in and out to get access to cigars, and I pushed it back in, and like a couple of cigars fell off of that drawer right into the water, and they were Cuban cigars, and that really sucks.
That sucks.
Yep. And then you just got a lot more moisture permeating, I think, because again, cigars are like sponges.
Right.
It's really moisture and heat that breeds the tobacco beetles. We've talked about that on the show as well.
Yep.
And I think really to combat all of these bad things, damage is different, right? You don't want to drop your cigar. I'm a huge fan of cellophane. I like cigars in cellophane because I think it does the best job of preventing damage. Although you can still damage it if it's in cellophane, but still, Butterfingers.
And you can tell the age.
And you can tell the age with the cellophane. Yep. But you drop a cigar. If it's in cellophane, whatever.
Right.
If it's not, if it lands the right way, especially if it's a little dry, I mean, it's not a good thing. Then you're getting into repairing cigars, which we've talked about on the show in the past. But I think for things like Beetles and mold, my best advice is to just constantly check. I mean, that retail tobacconist, the reason it happens because no one noticed, because it was a large walk-in humidor most likely, and they're not pulling all the stock out, all the time, and rotating it and doing all that stuff, which I think is something you need to do, especially when you get into larger cabinets and humidors and stuff.
Have you ever dealt with a beetle problem?
I have.
Yeah?
The holes mean the beetles have escaped.
Right.
It's just gross. It's
right.
gross.
Right.
I mean, the larvae's in, most cigars. I mean, I'm not sure.
It's the lagging indicator of what has happened.
Yeah.
Beetles are, exactly. And beetles are a thing. I mean, they live in tobacco. The larvae lives in tobacco. I'd love to know like how prevalent the larva is in this. Like, how many times have we smoked a cigar and burned right through the larva, the eggs in the cigar? Like, how prevalent is that? Because if you don't introduce enough moisture or heat, that larva is not going to hatch, and when it hatches, that's when it usually eats its way out of the cigar. And
oddly enough, that's not creeping me out.
My answer,
maybe I've smoked some larva, whatever.
But whatever, like, I've smoked worse things, I guess.
Aren't there portions of the process though that they're trying to eliminate the larva as they're producing the cigars?
Yeah, sure, but
the heat is introduced, and I don't know if the heat actually what that does to prevent beetles, but I know heat is used in the fermentation process, right? When they are working with the tobacco that will ultimately become your cigar. And so I don't know if there's there is a freezing process.
Right.
Now that I think
yeah. I thought I read something that there's a process that it's to eliminate that, or at
freezing.
Least
Freezing is how you kill the beetles.
Yeah.
Yes, and a lot of manufacturers do have a process where their cigars are frozen. Now you have to do that, and I've done that for Beetles as well.
Yep.
And I forgot about that too. You mentioned it, Jason. Is that? But you got to do it slow. So you go from humidor to refrigerator like 24 hours.
Introduce the cold slow.
Freezer for 24 hours. Refrigerator 24 hours. I mean, those are rough.
Because you don't want to shock.
You don't want to. You don't want to go right from 70 degrees and 70% humidity into the freezer, because it'll shrink too much at once. And then if you put it, really what breaks it is when you put it back in the 70-degree temperature, 70-degree humidity, and now it's expanding rapidly. Yeah, it's going to end badly. But that is how you get rid of beetles.
Yep.
I have had
I knew
to do
I
that.
read something on that. I knew I did.
Fortunately, not too often.
Is there a tasting note for beetle larva?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Do you so all right? You find a cigar, you see a hole, you suspect a beetle. It was from a beetle. Can you repair that cigar, or are you just disgusted enough to just throw it in the trash?
It's a great question. So, what I typically do, and I believe it was Stogie Santa told me this tip, and I think it's even in this article, right? Is you take the cigar, foot facing down towards a table, or like even better, a white piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
And you just want to kind of like drop it and tap it a little bit. If you get a whole bunch of looks like sand, tobacco sand in the bottom of that paper, that means the beetle has eaten through a bunch of the inside of the cigar and likely
got it.
damaged it beyond repair.
Yep.
Now, if you just tap it down and you don't really get much or anything that comes out of it, it might mean there was only a small amount of beetles. One might have escaped through a hole and gone on and did God knows what, but you can still smoke that cigar. I mean, you could probably plug the hole. You could put a little piece of tobacco with some paste over.
Well, they make repair,
and not paste.
They make a repair.
Not paste like you used to eat in elementary school.
Oh, I mean, not like Elmer's. We can't do that.
No, don't. Elmer's glue. No,
it's pectin.
Yeah,
it's pectin glue.
It's sugar. It's basically sugar.
Yeah,
sugar with water.
Yep.
Or you can get we did a segment on it. You can get there's a baker's powder that you mix with water to make the paste. You got to get the ratio right. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I prefer to just buy it and leave that to someone else to work with the chemistry.
Right.
I've got a tiny little tube that I bought somewhere. It's basically pectin, and I will use that to repair the cigar. But I mean, if your cigar also, if it's split or it has a hole, you can't just put the pectin on it. What I do is I keep cigars that are damaged beyond repair in a separate bag, and I'll actually take some pieces of tobacco off those cigars and then use that as a patch. Especially if you've got nice cigars that you really want to save. And I would do this. Stogie Santa told me this right before you smoke it. You don't, and you want to let it set and dry, and then you want to smoke it. So if you've got a damaged cigar, from Beetles or some other kind of damage that they talk about in this article as well, in Stogie Santa used to do this at the store. He used to have his Ziploc bag of just cigars that are damaged. They weren't expensive, right? And that's kind of his little surplus tobacco. And you might take some out, spritz it with some distilled water to get it more pliable, and use your X-Acto knife or whatever.
Get a little piece
and,
of the leaf off.
cut some of the. You can basically, if you wet the cigar with like a spray bottle of distilled water, you can actually take the wrapper off. You can deconstruct it.
Yep.
And you can take the wrapper off, and then you just cut that with your knife. Use your pectin, and apply the patches. Then let that dry outside of your humidor for a little while. Then put it back in your humidor, let it rest, and then. I mean, I've repaired not very well. I mean, there's an art to it, right? It depends on how badly damaged it is. I mean, I've done some really bad repair jobs and some not so bad ones, but
I like that. Yeah, because I have a couple of damaged cigars.
Patching to come up on this podcast.
That's right. This is patching in a different light, Adrian.
Different kind of patching.
Different kind of patching.
Tim asked on the live chat over at Security Weekly, StoGeeks.com/live, where he's watching this. Tim asked, has anyone of us tried the Arnold method of a cigar where we coat it with tequila? And the answer is, if you email me at joeh@StogieGeeks.com.
Is that for flavor or for fixing it?
Well, wait a second. Oh. Tim, if you email me at joeh@StogieGeeks.com, I'll find the tequila episode that Paul and I did. It was like 5 hours long. It was in August sometime.
And that's the drinking tequila.
I love you. I love you.
Paul said he loved everyone. And I will just send you that link so you don't have to hunt and peck. But the answer is, well, yeah, sure. I've dipped it in some cognac, tequila, and stuff like that. And if you don't have red wine, tequila will get off the plume and mold.
Yeah,
too.
sure. Well, you don't need to wipe the plume off necessarily, but people often mistake plume
for mold.
Yeah, and mold for plume and vice versa.
I do, even if it's just with my fingers like this. I don't smoke through the plume. Like,
I don't think the plume really increases the flavor, from what I remember. I mean, it's really just crystallized oils from aging in the cigar aging process. Yeah. So I'm not sure how much flavor you get from the crystallized version of the oil versus the natural oils before they crystallize. That's also a really good question. I had not considered the answer. I was not prepared to answer that question this week.
And Tim, to answer your question, yes, that's the episode that's 5+ hours. We actually ordered a pizza.
We did
during it. Did you really?
Yeah,
we did tequila.
And it came and you ate it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It was.
I think I ate a whole pizza.
Yeah, it was awesome. But anyway,
I think I had to.
How'd you feel the next morning?
Not good. Not good at all.
I'll pull it up and put it on the Discord too.
Nice.
Over the weekend.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Paul was drunk. You know what's interesting? We're looking at creating transcripts for some of our shows. And some of the it was a meeting just before I came on here, and the machine learning algorithms had tried to figure out the speakers. And so, like, since they don't know my name or our names yet, right, because we haven't like taught it to do that, that's supervised machine learning, right? It was just the first test. And so it said speaker 0, speaker 1, speaker 2, and as we were looking through the transcript, there was 2 Pauls. Like, Paul was speaker 0 and Paul was also speaker 1. And I said that's because the machine learning doesn't know the difference between Paul and drunk Paul. 2 totally different Pauls. One's a lot happier than the other, apparently. I love you, man. That was fun. We should do it. You know, that's a good point. We should do another tasting episode. Maybe not with tequila though. Like, beer would be a good place to start. Maybe.
The thing is, like honestly, Jason, like, we had a tequila person who does pairing for a side gig.
Yep.
And he came in. And
he was like, taste this one, and then told us all about it.
The idea was he came in with like 3 or 4 bottles for us to taste, and Paul and Joe drank along with
Do you have any more bottles in the trunk of your car? That's basically what it came down to.
But it was really good, like, sipping tequila. It was like the biggest takeaway for me from that episode. Well, there was a couple. One, I can't drink that much tequila ever.
Drink that much.
But it's not the tequila that you have in college where you've got the lime and the salt. Like, we very much, that is not the way tequila was intended to be enjoyed with cigars. It's more like Scotch or rum or bourbon in that sense, where you wanna sip it. Rum, I think, gets the bad rap as well.
Sure.
Of being something that you mix with Coke. Like don't. I mean, yes, the Captain Morgan spiced rum and Coke is actually it's delicious.
That. I do
delicious.
That. That's what I had with my EP Carrillo.
I know it does.
And it paired really well.
It does.
I'm telling you. Did you see my post? It was at 2:45 in the morning. Tell me how well that paired.
Oh, it is. It's really good.
Let me know if you're going to do an episode with sipping runs. I'll drive up there for that.
Nice.
Yeah. What's your favorite sipping rum?
My favorite one is sadly out of Venezuela. Like I hate to.
Because you're not 100% Puerto Rican.
No, I'm 50%, which means my kids are Puerto Ricans.
Puerto Ricans.
Literally, that's the name of my group chat with both my kids in it is Puerto Ricans.
Puerto Rican.
No, we use it all the time.
It's awesome.
But Pampero Aniversario. It comes in a little leather satchel. It's very easy to spot on the shelf.
Yeah. And what was it? What was it again?
Pampero Aniversario. Pampero.
I've not heard of this one. We've done a lot of Flor de Cana.
Don Q.
Don Q. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about rums on the show in the past. I see this one now. Very nice.
Yeah, that was on August 3rd. It was Samantha's birthday, and it's funny because it's already on the Discord server. That was Stogie Geeks episode 283.
283.
So,
I'd say I remember it fondly, but quite honestly, it's a little fuzzy.
That was a great day.
So we should do another pairing episode, but we should plan accordingly.
Yes.
Eat pizza beforehand. Probably the one change I would make. Yes. I think that's why I ate a pizza, because I need to sober up before I.
Well, no,
I
we just have the bus outside waiting for us, and then we go do the Buzz Bus to the cigar bars. So we start with Stogie Geeks and we end with Buzz Bus.
That would be dangerous.
Bomb. That would be bomb. That'd be a great evening.
You might be carrying
Start
me
at 2:00. You think I don't got your back? Of course I got your back. Come on now.
It's not the first time.
You're not too far from here.
That's right. It's true. So maybe beer, maybe Scott. We know people that do tasting, so we should do it again.
Oh yeah,
it was
we
a
can
lot
totally
of fun.
look that up. Like,
it was a lot of fun.
Pick the poison.
Yeah,
pick the poison.
Right.
I'm good. I'll join.
I have someone. His name is Jim Black. Super cool dude. He used to do promos with me in Radioland. I actually ran into him at a cigar event last Thursday, and he would totally do it. And it'd be like kind of like, because they do like kind of like the boutique spirits.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we could totally set that up and do
like
that.
that.
So
like
easy and done.
The other thing I want to get into too is pairing, and it's the non-alcoholic side of this, right? It's actually pairing coffee. I'm looking at different coffee subscriptions, like Atlas Coffee and those guys.
That night, I didn't sleep a wink. We drank a lot of coffee.
But I want to start trying that, right? I mean, I'm looking at Atlas Coffee, where they send you coffees from around the world, different countries every month. And start.
Oh, really? So I see. I need to look into my coffee a little bit more, because I just order from the Coffee Exchange. Right here on Wickenden Street in Providence, Rhode Island. In fact, I think they fulfill orders at least all across the U.S.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. It's not that far from me in Providence, Rhode Island. But I go on their website and I subscribe.
Yep.
And I do like a Honduran espresso roast for my machine at home.
Yep.
And I do a Sumatra, and I use some of that at home, and then I'll bring that here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. But see, it's almost like having a cigar subscription, where it forces you to try things you've never would try before, right? And that's what I want to start getting into. That's why I got into the monthly subscriptions, right? It's just put something in front of me so I can try it and just expand my palate.
The only problem I've run into with those subscriptions is you often end up, like, I remember I did Dollar Shave Club when it first came out.
I still do.
I didn't have a beard back then, but quickly, I had like 5 years worth of blades. And
But I'm not worried about that with cigars.
Right.
No.
Or rum.
I use them on my head.
And then the other one I did was the Heatnist, which is the company that sells the hot sauces behind Hot Ones, if you've ever watched
That's cool.
Hot Ones. And they send you 3 bottles a month. And unfortunately, like 2 out of the 3 bottles are like, ridiculously spicy. Like it'd take you a year to use this, like a drop in a stew at a time or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I had to cancel it because I ended up with this, huge just shelf full of hot sauces that, like I still haven't gotten through, and I canceled that subscription like a year ago. So like I'm down with these subscriptions if they pace it right,
Yeah. Right.
Like I don't know how much coffee you get. How much coffee do they send you every month?
So the one that I'm looking at is actually for the month. I mean, you can get different levels, right? You can get a bag, 2 bags, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it's like 20 cups of coffee for the month. So I can do that with my eyes closed.
Oh, okay.
Right? So not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But there's different levels. Now I can get 2 bags, and that'll be 40. That'll be 40 cups of coffee.
Closed.
Right? Yeah, true.
See, for me though, the coffee machine that I have at home, like you put the beans in the top. I have a Jura.
So you grind your own.
No. So you put the beans in the top.
Yeah.
And it has a grinder. In it, and it makes coffee, espresso, all
cool.
that stuff. I paid way too much money for it, but it's absolutely phenomenal. But the thing is, like, once you put the beans in the top, the model I have, they don't give you the ability to take them out.
Oh, gotcha.
So if I fill that up and I don't like the coffee, like I'm stuck with it.
You're screwed. Yeah. See, this you can get actual full bean, or you can get it ground already.
Yeah, and I like the French press. Although some people say the French press isn't healthy for you. Have you read those articles? There's a lot of research that there's
why?
Why?
Cholesterol.
It's definitely
really?
It's definitely
Yes.
more
How so?
cholesterol. What?
I believe there is a higher amount of cholesterol in. This is we need the research person now, Johnny. Cholesterol in French press.
I know it ends up being more concentrated because you never take the grounds away from the coffee that you're drinking, like they stay in the bottom there.
Yeah, research has shown that drinking 5 cups of coffee daily over 4 weeks from a French brew can increase blood cholesterol levels by 6 to 8%. I don't know. That's just one study, whatever. But I think you have to drink. But that was also my you got to drink a lot of it in the French press. Typically, if I do a French press, it's a lot more work than pushing a button certainly and getting a cup of coffee from a machine. Or even brewing a pot of coffee in a regular drip or percolator. But I'd like the French press to try different types of coffee, right? Because grinders typically have easier ways to get beans in and out.
I love my setup. I've fallen in love with the setup that I actually got for traveling. And now it's what I use every day. I've got a Japanese hand grinder.
Yep.
That'll take just a couple ounces of beans. And that's part of my routine is I'm grinding these beans by hand, then dump them into my AeroPress.
Yes,
which is
I have
very small.
so Aaron Leland bought me an AeroPress as a gift.
Yeah.
So I just
and that's how I make coffee every single day, and it really works well. That setup. I mean, it was less than $20 for the Japanese grinder, less than $20 for the AeroPress, and then I just use an electric water kettle, to pour the hot water over the AeroPress. And that's a really good setup if you want to try a bunch of different coffees. If you don't want to commit to a whole pot of something.
Yeah, AeroPress is really cool. It's plastic, right? It's not expensive. It's basically a plastic French press.
Yeah. Well, yeah, except so you only let it sit in there for a minute, and then you press the AeroPress down, and the grounds are gone. They go in the trash. So that's a big difference with the French press, I think, is the French press, the grounds stay in the bottom.
Oh,
you plunge it
right.
down.
I haven't used my AeroPress
don't actually
in a while. Yeah.
So it's kind of like drinking tea, where if you take a long time to drink the tea, and the tea is still in
the bag
your
is still
cup.
in.
Yeah, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
It ends up getting bitter.
So you're dead on. I just looked up an article, right, and it says
that's how I like it.
It's the concentration of the chemicals, right?
Correct.
So it says the effects on consuming, and when you do French press, it's more concentrated. The effects of consuming cafestol and kawiol are indirect pushing on your body's system in such a way that it increases your LDL cholesterol and triglycerides.
Interesting.
And triglycerides. too.
Triglycerides.
And LDL is the good or bad cholesterol?
I don't know.
I think
I'm assuming bad because
assuming
the article's
bad,
about how
right.
it's bad for
Yeah,
you.
HDL.
But yeah, so it's the concentration of the chemicals.
Right. But I-
Cafestol and Cawiol.
See, but in the articles I read, though, like you have to consume, like this one right here was like you got to consume 5 cups of coffee from a French press. I guess it depends on what you
day?
Is like the 8 ounces what they're just considering a cup, because as most of us know that drink coffee, like how many ounces are in your Dunkin' Donuts
Oh, dude, like
coffee?
30 something.
Right, minus about 20 for
Yeah,
ice.
'cause- yeah, right, exactly.
And you had to ask for your straw.
What's up with that? They hand me my iced coffee now, and they're like, "Here you go." And I'm like,
Starbucks, too.
I'm like, "What am I supposed to do? Can I get a straw, please?" And they're like, "Oh, thank you for asking, because we can't give you one unless you ask for a straw."
That's a state law now, you know.
That's insane.
That's a Rhode
is this
Island.
a
How am I supposed to
this a-
drink this without a straw?
This is what our
Is this a
legislation.
COVID thing, or
A legislator has been diligently working
No,
on.
because it like kills the sea animals or something. It has to do with the environment.
It's an environmental thing.
Yeah.
I see.
It's why there was no plastic straw. But in California, I think they banned all plastic straws.
Yeah,
so
a
they're
lot of
all
paper
those
straws.
those horrible
Which
paper
suck.
straws that you
that disintegrate
Literally.
halfway through.
And figuratively.
Well, they don't suck.
they suck like once, and then once they
right.
get wet, then it just kind of
Yeah, they
it falls
flop.
limp and
They flop.
yeah.
Candidate for Viagra.
And the person who invents the substance that keeps paper straws from doing that will be the next gazillionaire.
Right.
Yeah, but
and
then,
it's environmentally
but then
friendly.
10 years from now, they'll be sued because it causes cancer or something.
I love the stainless steel metal straws.
You know what?
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of
Yeah,
those
we-
at home.
yep.
Those are
I just
great.
need to keep
We
one of
do
those in my
too.
pocket all the
We
time,
do
I
too.
guess.
Right, you need one that
I need a
is-
retractable
it's
one.
retractable,
so it fits in my
telescopic.
pocket. Yeah,
I
telescopic.
think they make those actually.
Do they?
They have
Yeah.
glass ones too. And
Yes.
they're kind of cool, but I've broken.
Yeah, glass ones. Yeah, they break. The stainless steel ones are nice. You throw them right in the dishwasher. I mean, even the dishwasher is not the best at getting the inside of it clean. You get the usually when you buy the metal straws, it comes with a brush that you
Yep.
can clean them with. But I like them for cocktails too. To kind of tie this back, you're having a nice cigar and a cocktail.
Yep.
Like having that metal straw, I think is really cool. It's a nice touch inside of a
So
mojito.
talking about my coffee travel kit, I also have a metal spork and a metal straw that I travel with, and collapsible chopsticks.
He's got the Swiss Army knife of
Culinary,
You're ready.
drinking and eating
tools,
Swiss Army.
culinary tools.
This didn't all happen at once. Like these were added to the travel kit over time. Like after they banned them in California, and I was going to California a lot.
Yep.
I was like, fine, I'll just have a metal straw in my bag. It's not going to take up any room.
Right.
You know, and then same thing, like certain things you try and eat on an airplane with like plastic silverware. I was like, screw it, I'll just bring my own titanium spork with me, and we'll just use that.
Well,
But
God,
You have
Yeah,
a
the
visitor
emergency-
outside your window, Adrian.
oh yeah, no, actually it's a doorway there. That's the
Entrance?
outside the members room here. But yeah, so the chopsticks, a friend of mine gave them to me when I was in San Francisco one year, and apparently they're like relief supplies. Like in China, like part of the relief supplies are these little metal collapsible chopsticks that they'll hand out, and that's what these are from. And they're really durable, really nice, and fit in like a cute little container.
yeah, in Rhode Island they just passed a law. They can't give you plastic straws or a straw until you ask.
Right.
So
I thought Massachusetts was bad.
yeah, so
And they'll fine you. I think it's like a decent, like
it's-
2,500 a whack.
yeah, it's
if they
pretty.
catch you.
It's pretty intense. So
Per straw.
Per time they
Yeah.
actually see you do it, because supposedly they have like the SWAT team looking out for it. I don't know, but every time they see you give a straw without an ask, it's $2,500.
It's the drones.
It's
They
the
have
drones.
in the air watching.
So it's someone's job to go
I
drive
don't- I
through
don't
Dunkin'
know.
Donuts
I
and
don't
see.
know.
Yeah,
I think it's FUD. I think
it
they're just trying
probably
to-
is. Yeah.
yeah.
Probably just make you think that there's people checking, but no one's really checking.
Right.
It's like the firework laws here. Like nobody's going to arrest you for shooting off fireworks on 4th of July. Like they don't want to get shot.
Yeah.
But it's a slippery slope though, right? Because you know, when the budget deficit's high enough, they're going to go send out a SWAT team trying to get $2,500 a whack to make money for the state.
It's true.
Search and seizure.
Hey man, and just don't tax cigars more in the state.
Seriously.
Like legalize marijuana before you come after
Right.
cigars, please.
Right.
Which is just stupid because but it happened with cigars as well, right? So in Rhode Island, marijuana is decriminalized, but in Connecticut, in Massachusetts, now those of us that live in Rhode Island know you can throw a rock from a pretty significant portion of Rhode Island.
Less than an hour either way.
Less than an hour either way to get to Massachusetts or Connecticut, where marijuana is fully legalized.
Yep.
Now, a similar thing happened with cigars. Massachusetts really cracked down on cigars in cigar lounges and cigar shops, and Dave Garofalo, right, moves to New Hampshire. Just over the border in New Hampshire is where you can find a lot of cigar shops.
Yep.
Gee, I wonder how that...
Right.
Why do you think Rhode Island has so many cigar shops, and
Right.
many of them being in places like Smithfield and other adjacent areas to Massachusetts?
Right.
Because people come down from Massachusetts to buy their cigars. They're taxed less here in Rhode Island, and you can actually smoke in an establishment that sells cigars.
Right.
In Massachusetts, I believe those were the laws and type of legislation that led to all of those stores closing and moving to neighboring states like Rhode Island and Massachusetts.
Yeah, and it's actually going to get worse for Mass because Massachusetts is now 40% of the revenue of the stick.
Yep.
And they have on the docket 80, which is not really high. Minnesota is actually the highest. It's actually 94. But Rhode Island and neighboring Connecticut have a 50-cent cap tax per
Nice.
stick.
Nice.
So, and that's on the docket to make it 80, though.
Is it right now?
Yeah, we've actually went to the state house. I actually went down.
Yeah,
a group
we
of
lobby
us went
hard.
down.
Yeah.
and every year when they start to
The
squawk,
cigar manufacturers have to lobby heavily every year.
yeah, and so they go
In Rhode
every year, and then they always lump it just like the FDA.
With
They
vapes.
always lump it with the vapes because the vapes have a free ride. It's no tobacco tax. It's just 7% sales tax.
Gotcha.
So the vape has a free ride.
Yep.
But
Cigarettes are
no flavored.
Yeah, they got rid of the flavored vapes,
and
right?
cigar. So what's the laws now in Rhode Island for flavored vapes and or cigars?
Yep. The laws in Rhode Island for flavored vapes is they're trying to get it go to the ounce because I guess they're kind of sold in like those little Johnny knows the name of them, the little vials.
They're like cartridges, right?
Yeah, there you go,
Cartridges, yeah.
cartridges, right? So it'll be taxed per that.
Yeah.
That's on the docket.
But you can have the flavor.
But you can in Massachusetts, you can't even sell Jew estate acids.
Yeah.
So you cannot have
No kidding.
any type of flavored cigars in a brick
Is that
and
in
mortar
Rhode Island
shop.
too?
No, not yet.
But is that tobacco in general? Because I think of tobacco in many lines. I think of pipe tobacco, chewing
hookah,
tobacco,
hookah.
Yeah. So when what they do is they go cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then they do OTP, other tobacco products. So the ones that fit in the category by law OTP is vape, bulk tobacco, cigars, etc. That's the kind of crux that they're going through. So basically, it comes down to in Massachusetts, it's now 40% of the retail value of the stick. They have a pending legislation to make it 80. Rhode Island is 50-cent cap tax. They have pending legislation to make it.
And cap tax, Joe, is 50 cents per cigar, regardless of
50
size.
cents per cigar. By law, it's any cigar priced over $2.87, $2.80, which makes it every cigar. Because even like if you were to go like backwoods out of a gas station or the Cherry Middleton or something like
Jason
that.
does that all the time. When he says he's been buying a lot of cigars, he's big
It's
on
all
the
backwoods.
Big on the backwoods.
Yeah, so
Swisher sweets.
They always try to find that loophole. But in Massachusetts, any flavored cigar is already banned.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But
How is everyone's Tatuaje pork tenderloin doing?
I am officially spoiled.
told you.
I'm officially spoiled. I am ruined. I have been ruined. This is.
I found
this
that
is an amazing cigar.
The first 2/3 were amazing. You got that chocolatey and that earthiness. As I get down towards the final third and towards the end, it does what most cigars do. Like it picks up in intensity. You know, the smoke is a little hotter, and I find some of those flavors are lost.
It definitely mellowed out, but now I'm getting more of that leather that Joe was talking about. that leathery taste.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm getting more of the leathery taste. It
changed. I couldn't-
changed.
Yep.
Now, I haven't hit any pepper whatsoever, but that may be because you aged it for...
Yeah, the pepper aged.
Pepper usually ages out.
The pepper aged out, and the leather, I
totally
recall
have the
it being
leather.
a little bit stronger, but it really
totally have
is
that
still
leather.
there. And what I like about any cigar, for me, whether I give it a rating or not, I love transition within a stick.
Me too.
I don't like a stick that's like good,
Yeah.
but like stays good, or medium, or
right.
mediocre and stays mediocre. I like the actual transition.
Me too.
And to this, you get a lot going on, and it's a Robusto size, so
Yeah.
it's like it's pretty awesome.
That's my favorite Vitola, is Robusto.
Mine too.
Mine didn't
Is
make
it?
it in the mail for some reason.
Because
Mine
Joe,
didn't show up.
Joe stole it.
I stole them all. That'd
Sorry,
be my
Adrian.
bad. That'd be totally my bad.
I am enjoying this one though, the Cajono.
Yeah.
Cajonas
It's,
are really good. Yeah, I haven't
they are
smoked
good.
those in a long time, Adrian.
Actually,
It's a Churchill though. It's a huge cigar.
They're massive.
FYI, Regency got like 3 new batches of 3 new Tatuaje of the new Cajonos and all that stuff.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I haven't had any, but he just had them last week. I hadn't got there yet, but yeah.
Have you guys? And I heard this on Rogan. Rogan actually interviewed Oliver Stone, which was interesting because there's, Oliver Stone did the original JFK movie. What was that, like in the mid '90s? I think it was like
1991.
91. And since then, like that movie forced the government, and he used it to lobby the government to declassify more documents, and then I want to say it was in the past, like very recently, he released a new documentary. Have you watched that, Bill?
I haven't.
Sounds like you're into it.
Do tell.
So there's a whole new documentary that brings forth more facts and evidence. I don't know if there's anything like earth-shattering, but certainly is more evidence to prove that it was not a lone gunman, as if we needed more to like come to that conclusion. But it does present more evidence in that light. It talked a lot more details about the air quotes, what I'm going to call now air quotes autopsy, right?
Yeah.
Oliver Stone talks a little bit about the political climate, at the time, and specifically the dealings with Cuba and the failed assassination attempts are mentioned, which is why one of the reasons why I put this article where there were, against Fidel Castro, what was the number? 634 attempts on his life. And one was an exploding cigar. Obviously
So
failed.
this gave me this story gave me an idea. I think like tongue-in-cheek Fidel Castro TV show would be hilarious.
Yes.
And like a
cartoon?
procedural. It could be like a cartoon. Like every episode, somebody tries
Kill.
like in South
And then they kill
Park,
Kenny.
Kenny gets
Yeah.
killed in
Yeah.
every episode. But it's an attempt on his life, and it's like you could totally make that funny. Like,
Well, I think it's
how he
Archer,
gets
right?
around it,
Like in
why it
Archer,
doesn't work.
someone almost dies in Archer, and multiple people almost die in Archer. Some actually do die and come back as cyborgs and crap.
There is a
So-
fun
yeah.
semi-related story regarding JFK and Cuba and all of that. It was a Pierre Salinger interview. So Pierre Salinger was JFK's press secretary. And he's telling the story of how JFK sent him out to buy
cigars.
To buy up all the Cuban cigars in D.C.
Romeo and Julieta, from what I've heard.
And when he got back, that's when he was handed to read the statement about the embargo.
Yes, that's when the embargo was passed. I've heard the same story from multiple sources. I've also heard it was a Romeo, like a case of Romeo and Julieta cigars that he purchased and then passed the embargo, which still stands today. It's been slightly modified, president to president, over the years.
And it was loosened up a little while ago, then tightened back up again. Right?
Yes.
Obama loosened
Yeah, the
it up.
Obama administration loosened it up. There was a cap as far as the actual revenue there, and then it got tightened up again, and who knows with this administration.
Yeah.
Political wise, like in international policy, there's so many things to be concerned about today that I think the Cuba thing is not a high priority.
I don't even think it's like top 50 priority at this point. Maybe not even
correct.
top 100 priority at this point.
Nope.
I know it's just one of those lingering pieces of legislation that we just can't shed.
I did a whole spiel of it in 2015, 2016 on the radio about that when I had the cigar radio show. And one of the biggest administrative blocks wasn't the amount of per cap. It was the fact that we, U.S., wanted to enforce our labor laws in order for them to comply.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
And the funny thing is, like, executives from the U.S. were shocked that they were like, no. It's like, dude, look up the definition of communist country.
Right,
like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Anyway, I'll just leave it
I mean,
there.
the government literally runs all of the production, everything.
Yeah, we did an episode with Bill DeLisi, a gentleman who was on Paul Security Weekly.
Yeah.
And then he came on Stogie Geeks, and he actually gave us the metrics how Cuba reverse engineers the amount of Cuban sticks that come out per cosecha, which is Spanish for harvest, and how they come up with the number so they can break even.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was a fascinating interview. It was. I was just like, it was one of my, which is why I kind of carry my leather journal, because if anybody has anything riveting to say, I actually write it down and go on my own rabbit hole. I was like writing down all this stuff, and I spent a good solid 3 weeks after the interview.
Wow,
and it was super cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, I think people have both empathy and sympathy for communist countries, and we'll almost look at them like, oh, like look what a great job China's doing, like with COVID, and why don't we loosen the embargo with Cuba, not realizing the full picture.
Right.
That the
100%.
news, the news clip I watched the other week was, yeah, the numbers of COVID in China might be low. At least that's what's being reported. But then they also talked about just how strict they are, and how a woman had a miscarriage outside of a hospital because they wouldn't let her in because she couldn't prove a negative COVID test.
Yeah.
And how people were almost on the verge of starving to death in their homes because they can't leave to go get food, and they have to deliver food, and there was delays.
Mm-hmm. There was a bizarre article, I think it was it was either in the Times or the Washington Post, about this girl in China who was out on a blind date, and because of a snap lockdown, she wound up for days having to stay in the apartment of this blind date who she didn't know.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I know. So a friend of the family is a PhD and a professor, Hong Kong University. Comes home to visit family during holidays, and literally was like in a rush to get back because there was some government mandate that was about to kick in, and it would have forced him to quarantine himself, I want to say for like 30 days.
Yep.
So he had to rush and get a flight and get back there before that mandate hit, because they literally imprison you in your own home, and it's military style.
Yeah. Well,
it's military style.
There's a lot of people in the cigar industry and who from Cuba have family in Cuba that are like, yeah, no, like you don't understand the full picture. Like there's atrocities there that I have to mention on this show because we don't want to just gloss over them.
No.
Nope.
And you know what? It's empathy for the people.
I get that.
I wouldn't have empathy for the
government.
form of government.
Right. Correct.
You know what I'm saying? It's a difference.
Correct.
You can have empathy for the people, but separate the government rule and the thumb that they have on the people.
So are you still going to order Cuban cigars then?
I will. How many people depend on that to actually survive?
It's true. It's true. You could look at
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
the government profits, but the people need those cigars to be sold too.
They're in a situation where it's their livelihood. So yeah, 100%. But
it's illegal for us to order Cuban cigars, though. Technically. I think that kind of goes with the fireworks laws that Adrian was speaking of. And the straw laws. I mean, it's the same thing. Like how
we're literally having conversations around cigars, fireworks, and straws.
But it's all the same thing. The law gets
it's the same
passed,
oversight, and
which is kind of silly.
Exactly, that's my point.
The violation of the law is not the same as like I've murdered or just stolen, like flat out stolen.
So hold on, let's do an exercise. I want to do an exercise. If you ordered a box of Cuban cigars right now, and the government found out about it, what would you get fined?
A letter. Nope, you wouldn't get fined. You get, the way I understand it, this could have changed.
Yeah.
The way I understand it, the first time you get caught, so something is coming from another country that is part of the embargo goods that the Department of Commerce, maybe
it might be
who I don't know who
Commerce, taxation, whatever.
Who
something.
enforces? It's not taxation.
No.
It's
Business regulation.
maybe it's border security. What is the your customs? Customs.
Okay.
You get a letter, I think, from U.S. I haven't gotten said letter. Maybe someone who has can share more details on it, right? But so the first time they pull the shipment and they go, oh, Cuban cigars, we're going to Paul.
Yep.
We're going to send Paul a letter and be like, hey, we saw that you violated U.S. federal law.
Yep.
Slap on the wrist. Like, bad boy, don't do that again.
Okay, so.
Second time I'm told, it's like, hey, we noticed that, like, you didn't knock this crap off, and now you're going to get a fine. And if you do it again, you're going to get dragged into court and probably go to jail.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that 3 strikes you're out.
Yeah.
The way I understand, again, it could be different now. It could be based on circumstances. It could be based on amounts, frequency. Who knows? But that's the general way that I.
But this is why I wanted to go through the exercise.
Because you want to order Cuban cigars and know that
That's
the first time.
That's part one. But now imagine
People will hang the letter on their wall.
Now,
like they'll frame it,
right,
they'll
exactly,
frame it and put it on the wall.
Exactly. But now imagine being a business owner who hands out a straw and they're fined $2,500 that first whack.
Right.
I'm gonna go buy Cubans and get a letter. They give me a straw. They get fined $2,500.
But it's similar as to it's similar to the enforcement, right? Like to Adrian's point, like if everyone who's letting off fireworks on July 4th and they had to fine and or process and or arrest those people. Same thing with straws. If they prosecuted every single person, how would they even monitor that? Right. Same thing with U.S. Customs. They can't monitor and inspect every single package coming into this country, right? It's a spot check. It's probably more from different locations, more, I'm told, at different times of the year. Yeah. There's more scrutiny. So, yeah.
Right. But I'm comparing the difference between a straw and a box of Cubans.
Correct.
And it's $2,500 versus a letter.
In the straw, the business gets fined.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
But still sucks. It's still what I call bad busy regulation. Like, what's the point?
Right. Yeah, you'll be on the Senate floor. We have one more piece of legislation. We have a Jason Albuquerque over here.
Yeah, right.
From Rhode Island. Yeah.
See my box of Cubans? Look at the straw. I'm gonna go make a case.
Dude. Well, hey, I was asked when I was one of the head ambassadors for the chamber. They asked me to run for office, like for local.
Yeah.
And my answer immediately was them like, I'm not a C student. And the guy was like flabbergasted. Like I was like, God, no. Like
I thought it was because they had video of you smoking a Cuban cigar, drinking a coffee with a straw, lighting on fireworks.
Dude, he's like, have you seen that tequila episode? I can't be a politician.
Can you picture me as an elected official?
I could never be a politician.
As an elected official, I'd be like, it'd be just like the casino, right? I'd be like this.
Well,
I'm out.
Hey, I'm just throwing this out there. Langevin is not rerunning for office.
Right.
So
having grown up in Revere, I could picture you as a politician.
Yeah, nah. I don't play.
Listen,
that's a sad day for cybersecurity.
Paul can tell you I don't play well in the sandbox. Like, I don't. Like,
I never noticed.
Oh, yeah, you can tell me that, too. You can tell me that, too, I can't even deal with corporate politics, let alone real, I'd be like, dude, you guys are idiots. Yeah. Straws?
Which is ironic, because you worked for one.
Yeah, I did, and it was awesome. But even conversations that we've had off air, then I'm like, how did you deal with that? Like you just spent okay, we all picked up dead seagulls. You remember North Cape oil spill?
Yeah.
Like you just spent 8 hours of your time as an elected official picking up dead. Like I remember wearing like a 3-piece suit to work every day and doing that, and we're there with the poker and gloves picking up dead seagulls because we had an oil spill. And I'm like, if I'm getting frustrated at this congressman guy's got to be furious. But yeah, crazy stuff.
Well, I mean, speaking of ordering cigars online, it was one of the topics I had posted there. I want to preface this with, you should support your local tobacconist and your local retailer.
Brick and mortar, baby.
Brick and mortar. Absolutely.
Brick and mortar, baby.
I try to balance between the two.
Me too.
And that's just, I hate to do that to the retailers, right? But we can buy cigars online, and you have a much wider selection, certainly. online than you do from one particular retailer, certainly. And we've talked about, the differences and such, but I often find, it's interesting. I don't see a lot of local cigar kind of blowout sales as much anymore. I don't know if that was COVID because there's not as much inventory. I think it's also...
But you're also buying into an experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
But brick and mortar, I think, has gotten better at finding the right cigars for their audience.
Sure.
To your point of the experience, I think they've really honed that skill. So they don't have that surplus stock as much anymore to have those kind of closeout sales locally. At least that's what I've experienced here in Rhode Island. So when I go buy the closeout cigars, I tend to turn more to online, really either for something highly specific or the complete opposite of the spectrum. I want to buy boxes of $4 cigars that are really good, and that's what I want to put in the humidor here in the studio, where all of us, myself included, are smoking out of it.
The everyday smoke.
You come in, you grab a Connecticut, and you sit down, you have coffee. Usually I try and buy a lot of mild to medium-bodied cigars at that roughly $4 price range that are pretty decent. Of the last batch, Joe, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I'll give you my take first to give you time to think about it. But the Nub Cameroon is a standout for me. And I want to say I got those on closeout for $4 or $5 a stick. Nub Cameroons, I'm like, this cigar is really good.
You bring up a fascinating point there. I'll get on the Nub.
Get on the Nub, Joe.
But with the retailers now,
refill.
now, just FYI, like this show does get listened to by a lot of brick and mortar.
It does, and we love
brick and mortar, really do. And we do. But in defense of them, the cigar manufacturers play a game too, because outside of Stogie Geeks and Security Weekly, I do ordering for a cigar shop here in Rhode Island, right? And so these manufacturers play a game with the brick and mortar, saying, if you want to get this line, whatever the line is, if you want me to start naming lines, just say Go Joe, and I'll add 20 more minutes to this episode. But
as long as you don't use the word nub.
Right. No, but it actually brings up a good point. So someone wanted to bring in, let's just say, Steve Saka, right? And so they want to bring in Soba de Mesa, or they want to bring in
Mi Querida, Uncle Largo. It's his Toro size. Still one of my favorite cigars.
Oh, it's a great stick, right? But like again, there are other brands too, so I want to level the playing field. Arturo Fluente, same way. If you want to start calling out like, hey, my customer's been asking for cigar X, right? Okay, fine. And then they say, well, in order for you to get that, you have to get to like this tier of purchase and whatnot. And so the retailers will be like, okay, like so I have to order $1,600, which is $3,200.
Hey, can you pass me some of that red breast?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Which they have to order 16.
Slide?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, Jesus, that was weak.
Oh, you totally dogged it.
I didn't want to hit the mic.
So my clients have to order.
It's like in Major League when he slides into the face and he comes up a couple feet short.
You got it. Derailing my thoughts. You cannot derail thoughts of someone who has ADD in natural life. Okay, so let's just keep focused, right? So what happens?
Well, you can because it's really easy.
They have to order $3,600 worth of product. I'm sorry, $1,600 worth of product, which is $3,600 retail
to a smaller market
to get like the 800 that they want. But yet, if the brick and mortar will go online, these manufacturers rather sell it for $10 more a box online and then have it go online. For example,
I think it's very astute observation, Joe, because what we're talking about is what we call in the business world, right? When we talk about cybersecurity startups, is what we talk about on our, we call it the TAM, right?
Yeah.
Your total addressable market.
Right.
And that's just not a cybersecurity thing, obviously. That's a business thing.
It's a business thing. Yeah.
Like, what's your audience size of who your customers are that will buy your products?
And what's the margin on the product?
Yes.
That's that.
Shark Tank, right?
What's the margin on the product?
Yeah,
right?
sure.
What's the margin on a stick? For my $5.90 Flor de las Dias, that's what my daily smoke.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's the margin on that?
The answer in the brick and mortar world is 50%.
What do you make it for? What do you sell it for? And how big is the audience that's going to buy it? Because the back of the napkin math the sharks are doing on the show is like, okay, like that's how, does that make sense with your valuation?
Right.
What's the potential growth in that market? And what are your costs? Moving forward, can we get those costs lower to increase your margins? Now, back to your point, Joe, again, which I think is very astute. Your TAM as a retailer without an online presence is smaller than your TAM for an online retailer who conceivably can sell to every single customer in the entire world if you're willing to ship. I don't know if you can ship outside I don't know what the regulations are.
You can ship outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, in the U.S., it varies per state. If you're located physically in Massachusetts, you cannot ship to Washington State or the state of Massachusetts. So I do this for my business as well.
Yeah.
Like for a brick and mortar. So if they're physically located in Massachusetts, you cannot buy online and physically ship to anywhere in Massachusetts because it's tobacco or the actual state of Washington. And I'm doing it for 2 other shops in Texas. Now, Texas is a little wide open, right? So, but you can't ship to the state of Washington, which brings me back to like in Rhode Island. If we were to say, oh, well, I joined a wine club, like Rhode Island just started releasing that wine
You can
law.
do a wine club now. It has to be a club, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when I started Stogie Geeks, there were only 30, which was January 2nd of 2017. So there were only 32 states that you could ship wine to if you were a wine shipper. But if it's a club and it's subscription based, they can do that. I imagine.
But I got gifts.
The only reason
I got
why
multiple gifts from like wine.com.
Yes. I only imagine
as a gift. I don't know if it has to be marked as a gift.
Yeah, see that's a tricky thing. But the only reason why is because of regulation.
Yeah.
They want to be able to say
the regulation.
They want to be able to
Where's
say
the loophole, baby?
They want to be able to say like I only have 100 subscribers in Canada,
right.
36 subscribers in Montana, blah blah blah, or whatever it is, and that's how they get around it. And it's like you have to dance around it.
And that's how you have to build your TAM, because you have to look at all the loopholes and see where can I sell into.
Where else can I open up new markets?
Where can I find new market?
And it actually gets
Adrian.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So what you're actually talking about is the SOM. So you've got the TAM, which is the total available market. Nobody can reach the whole TAM, because TAM is like global.
What did I say? Total addressable market? I think you're right. Total available market.
Total available market.
correct.
Then the SAM is the serviceable available market. And then the SOM is the serviceable obtainable market. So the SOM is actually what you can reach, what you can feasibly get your product to.
Yeah.
So TAM is useful when you're talking about like a market as a whole. Like here's how big the whole market is. Like maybe we could start an online thing, start shipping. We can expand our SOM to a greater percentage of the TAM. But really, the SOM is what you can reach.
Yeah.
That's the term they use for what you can actually sell to.
This is why, now it's all coming together, why you'll have a retail exclusive and or partner with a cigar manufacturer if you're a retailer to go, I want to have my own brand of cigars, right?
Yep.
Paul Joel did this, and it's an amazing business play because now I'm working with the manufacturer. We're sharing the revenue from that. But the cigars, I'm not just selling these cigars in my shop. Now these cigars are being sold online. They're being sold in all other people's shops. So you're opening up different markets for a different revenue stream. That's smart.
That's the LCA play.
And as long as we can keep FDA in check, that stuff will continue.
For example,
want to go on the FDA rabbit hole.
like for example, Oliva, right?
They're distracted right now, so maybe it's our time to strike in cigars.
Everybody walks in and to a brick and mortar. If they like Oliva, they like the Milanios, blah blah blah. But like, what they don't know, or what they do know, is that Oliva is willing. So manufacturer is willing to sell it to the online retailer for $10 more a box,
I just dropped my cigar.
and then go through the motions.
Yeah.
As opposed to give it to the brick and mortar. So when you walk into the brick and mortar, getting to Paul's point, and I'll bring up the nub, right? It's like they're playing all of these loopholes, and then once the brick and mortar throws in online, the credit card merchant service is a huge hurdle because
sucks.
because now you want to go to authorized.net, that's the main king, etc. But like what happens is like there are certain vendors that you can only use because they're
it's
only
like the porn industry.
Sure,
it is.
They actually treat it like that.
I want to go to Adrian on this, not because of the porn. That was really bad.
Joe was the nub connoisseur. We got the porn connoisseur. All right, let's hear it.
I couldn't have teed that up any better. But Adrian actually has experience in this because you used to work for a credit card merchant or a credit card processor. Yeah.
So I actually got my start in security working for Elevon, which is the payments provider for U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank actually acquired them a week before I started there, back in June 2001. And one of the very first high-profile breaches that happened was card systems. So card systems got hit hard, went under, and they actually went shopping around as they were liquidating the company.
That was 2005, right?
Yeah, 2000. That sounds about right. And we couldn't take, they offered their merchants to us, and we couldn't take them because in our charter, we said we didn't do porn, we didn't do, there's a term for it, and I forget what the term is, but basically high risk.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yep.
High risk merchants.
Yep, it's called high risk.
High risk merchants get charged much higher rates than like a CVS or a Walgreens or like a restaurant or retail or something like that, and we had to turn it down.
It's actually an extra percent. So my client gets charged 2.9%, which it's usually 1.9 and 30 cents per transaction. Here's the kicker: there's a transactional limit on his volume. So what happened was we had Black Friday sale, and we had Christmas, and then 7LE launched pipes, and a bunch of stuff happened for him to sell.
Yeah.
And he upped his sales transactionally.
Yeah.
They just stopped.
No way.
So we had to call and get it readjusted.
I'm sorry. I think I helped with that.
I think this is something that legislation to make illegal this type of bias for legal goods and services.
Yeah.
Because what we're talking, like, what's the difference if you're selling a glass versus a cigar? They're both completely legal goods to sell in the U.S., provided you have to, if it is tobacco or pharmaceuticals or something that's regulated, you have to follow the regulations, but it's legal to sell these goods. Why is one good treated differently from another from credit card providers? I understand, Adrian, your answer obviously, right, is risk. Their transactions, are riskier, but I have to think there's some kind of balance because
I personally, I think it's the whole reason why you can, like, when a state needs more taxes, when they need more money.
Opportunity. It's jumping on an opportunity.
The more
luxury.
The stuff that's easier. It's not even that it's luxury. It's that it's morally okay to attack it for a politician.
Yeah,
it's easier to attack it. It's easier to attack it. It's got a stigma to it. It's got a yeah. So because there's this kind of like moral fine line, like some people are totally against it, others aren't. It's easier for them to say, we're gonna tax this because
we're gonna tax tobacco, we're gonna tax alcohol because those things are bad for you. We're gonna tax pornography because it's immoral.
I want the drizzly for cigars.
Yeah. Drizzly? What's drizzly?
Where you can order booze and have it delivered to your door.
Oh yeah.
Well, you can do that with cigars.
You can?
Yeah, you can get a subscription to cigars and they'll
ship
you.
I have that, but what I'm saying is I want to go to one of the local brick and mortars and say I want a box of XYZ, have somebody come deliver it to me.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't
in 30 minutes
with an app, dude. With an app.
You can't do that with tobacco.
I don't think so. You think I can get an app and go next door and say deliver me to North Kingstown a box of whatever I want?
The hurdle
in California.
I think you need to try after this.
Jason, in California, you can do that with marijuana.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
The hurdle.
Absolutely, you can.
The hurdle would be the credit card processing. That has always been a hurdle.
Well, that hurts the cannabis industry as well.
Yeah, it's called high risk, and they actually put a limit. So now I have to go to my client and monitor his sales and transactional rate.
Yeah.
And if it spikes, we have to report to the company.
But now I get
But you get what I'm saying.
But cigar tobacco people that get fired up about cannabis, now I get it.
Yeah.
Cannabis is illegal at the federal
Right.
level. Tobacco is legal at the federal level.
Dude, I want Uber Eats for the brick and mortars around here.
Why should the cannabis industry have rights
think
or
it's only a
privileges
matter
within
of
the
time,
states
though.
that tobacco doesn't have?
Right.
I get that. I totally get
that's
that.
what I want.
It should
I
be a
would-
level
Dude,
freaking playing
because
field.
now I get the ease of delivery. I don't have to go to the shop, but I'm supporting the brick and mortar.
Right.
Dude,
So
You could do
question
that
for
with
Joe.
alcohol during the pandemic.
you still can. It's officially legal now.
yeah,
it's
that's gonna
officially
be a
legal
thing now.
And you can go to a restaurant and
But
order a
hold on.
mixed drink, and they can give it to you with your
But
Uber
hold
Eats.
on. But I think I don't know how the laws are in Rhode Island that differentiate between a restaurant that's serving alcohol and delivering it to you versus a liquor store.
We
that is-
I swear we have that in Rhode Island right now. There's
Yeah. One of my favorite
There's a Rhode
liquor-
Island app where you can get alcohol. If I want a bottle of whiskey delivered to my house, it will get delivered to my house.
Savory Grape was doing that
For wine, right?
No, for everything.
Everything?
In East Greenwich, you went in their website, you'd place an order, and they would deliver it to your house. Now the delivery fees were like exorbitant. It was like $50 or whatever. But like during the pandemic, obviously that was something that you would, before we know what we know now about COVID, right? You didn't want to go in a store because you just didn't know, and I get that.
Liquor RI. Liquor RI.
here-
Beer, hard liquor, wine, seltzers, champagne, and much more delivered to
But
your doorstep.
you can't do that with tobacco.
No,
I
That's
bet,
what
in Rhode
the
Island.
hell?
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
And I
Like,
bet you once we legalize marijuana, you'll be able to deliver marijuana to your door.
right. All right, so can I swing this around because I want to hear where you guys buy from? What are your favorite online? We talked about brick and mortar. We support them. But
Yeah,
we
we
know
support them,
we
yeah.
all order online. What are your favorites? I'll talk mine. Holtz, Cigar Page. Like I go down those. I do small batch.
Yep, I do
Right.
small batch and Holtz pretty much exclusively. I like for very specific reasons. I like Holtz because of their sales. Right, when they mark down 40%, and I can get the,
And that's why I like Cigar Page too. Killer
haven't-
deals.
Cigar
Killer
Page.
deals. Yeah, Cigar Page is awesome.
So small batch I like for kind of not necessarily rare or hard, but somewhat rare. I would classify it as, and they run some sales, and you accumulate points at small batch.
Yep.
That even like when I talk about it with my local tobacconists, they're like, "Yeah, you should totally 1,000% place that order, Paul," because they're like,
Right.
I can't match that." And I'm like, "Look, it's not like a replacement for buying cigars." At a local brick and mortar, but it's like I get a sale from them, and I order when they go on small, and I get points at small
And you
batch
get
as well.
Cigar Page does points too.
Yeah, but the same thing with Mr. J's. I have a membership, and therefore I get discount too. So I spend a lot of my money there as well, probably more than I do online. Quite frankly.
Yep.
Yeah, I still spend more on the brick and mortar retail, but when I go online, I really like Holtz and small batch.
Yep.
For sure. There, because like Holtz, you get the email, and like Paul says, like if they do like a 40% off, they got some good gems in there.
Oh yeah,
like really good sticks. And if you want to add to your humidor and do that there, I always like to give the brick and mortar a chance. But Paul's had that conversation just like I've had with the brick and mortar. If they're honest with you, they're like, dude, I can't even touch that.
Right.
Like I can't even touch that price. And because they're selling it based upon it's online, and they're willing to also not get into like the keystoning of it. Like in other words, they're buying it for X, so they don't want to make $10 over box price versus the online manufacturer might settle for that to make room in their warehouse for more and go with their business model. That's why, like when Paul mentioned it, like always go out there and support the local brick and mortar. I love the culture. I love meeting a brick and mortar. That's awesome. But they go through a struggle per manufacturer as well. And then if you get into the broker thing, if the cigar company doesn't have a direct rep and it has a broker, it's a whole nother ballgame. So they're always jumping through hurdles to get us their best deal. And it's amazing how they have like these tiers. Like you got to get to this level to get to this stick.
Right.
It's crazy. As opposed to just sell it.
Right.
And then you have manufacturers who get the product and it's only available for like this once a month.
Yeah.
Or you walk into a local cigar shop and you try to buy Opus X, well, it's available for members only first.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
And it's
yep.
like, dude, like, seriously? Like I want to buy, I'm willing to spend $40, $50 a stick here.
Yeah.
And like, oh, no. And then, like, 6 months later, that owner's trying to push them.
Right.
Because
Nobody's buying them.
Because your members are already depleted financially.
Sure,
They
sure.
paid for a membership.
Yep.
They got cigars in their locker.
Yep.
They're not going to buy, they might buy them at $40 a pop for a box.
Right.
But if a guy wants Opus X for a wedding or something
Seriously,
like that,
yeah, right,
they're
right,
going to
right.
pony up the
That's it.
if it's a 10
They'll
count box.
spend it where they can spend
it's a
it.
10 count box and it's $400, but it's a wedding gift. Hey,
Yep.
man.
That's it.
It is what it is.
Now, how about the online auction sites? I've never gone down that.
I use those kind of early on.
What is it? Cigar Bid or something
Yeah.
like that, right? I've never gone down that path.
I've used them early on, and then the novelty kind of wore off.
Yeah. I know.
'Cause you gotta
I know people
really-
who like watch that religiously.
You have to watch it religiously to get
Yeah.
a good deal,
Yeah.
basically.
And you got to stay on it if you really want the box or whatever it is that they're
Right,
selling.
right.
And
It's basically eBay for cigars, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Where you can bid on stuff.
What's interesting though is when I use eBay nowadays, I don't necessarily bid on stuff. I'm just
You just
looking for
buy
someone to
direct.
sell-
Yeah, buy now.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't jumped down that rabbit hole. Now, I will say some online purchases I've had came in really shitty. Like dry, not taken care of, no Bovita pack in it.
That's what I love about small
You know what I
batch.
mean? It's
Small
like-
batch does one of the best.
And that's what I'm
jobs with
saying.
that.
I stick with the ones who take care of it. Take care of the cigars when they deliver it to you.
There's another one that sells New Havana Cigars, sells mostly Tatuaje cigars, and they also do an amazing job of making sure there's a Bovita pack in it.
Yeah.
And it's wrapped in cellophane
Yep.
or shrink wrap.
Shrink wrap. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
Yep.
they
Yep.
shrink
Yep.
wrap it.
Yep. And I mean, they
um,
even make those Bovita bags now.
Yep.
Like I get them in Bovita bags where they're sealed, ziplocked, sealed, Bovita pack inside of it. You know they're taking care of their.
FYI, Director of Operations pinged me. That Liquor RI has a cigar section now.
What?
Yeah.
Get out of
Yep.
here.
It's on the Slack. Are you in Slack?
I'm not on Slack right now, but yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So they got some, and looking at them, it looks like they're limited for sure, but they have a lot of classic faces. They have Ashton,
Yeah.
Romeo and Julieta, Oliva, and
All right.
the Tatianas. So I'm sure that'll grow with that.
Good find.
Good find, I guess. If you're
We'll
into
see.
Tatianas.
I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway.
Tatiana classic groovy
Let me see what they
blue.
got.
Oh, you got them? Yeah.
Let me see what they got in here.
So
Cider liquor.
that's crazy.
Smoke shop. They got a smoke shop
Yeah.
second.
So there you go. So yeah, and they'll deliver it. Which again, having designed these, and chased, it's all about who the merchant service, who your credit card provider, and what their threshold is
Yeah.
for tolerance for high risk, which is the pool that they put you
Oh,
in.
Jesus, they're selling Stogues here too.
Anyway, moving on.
But speaking, you said Oliva. I recently smoked the Oliva Series V 135th Anniversary Edition Limitada. Can we get any? Can we throw a Reserva in there? Anniversary Reserva Edition Limitada Special Edition.
What year?
I love that.
What year?
135th Anniversary Edition Limitada. It is a 5.5 by 54 Perfecto. The review that I have here from Catman says the price was $10. I don't remember what I paid for the one that I bought, and I smoked it yesterday, actually, during one of our webcasts. And it's a Perfecto. It's a really interesting looking Perfecto. It's kind of similar to a Camacho Liberty kind of style, right?
Yep.
Where
Yep.
like the taper, like a Perfecto is normally like a more closer to a double torpedo in the Perfecto kind of family, right? This one's kind of interesting where it looks like a regular cigar and it tapers down, but it doesn't taper down all the way where the foot is actually like twisted or closed, right? It's really cool.
Did you get this for $10?
I bought it next door at Havana.
Yeah. Okay.
Havana Cigar Club.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
They also had them at Mr. J's. I'm not sure what they're selling retail here.
Because retail here, I've been to 3 shops that had them, and one of the owners gave me one. I was like, "Yeah, try this and talk about it on your show." Right?
And here we are.
I looked at it and I was like, $18.
It's 18. Okay. I was going to say price 10 for this was, I don't know.
It's actually a good presentation. It's actually in a box, and it's kind of like a semicircle. The boxes of 10.
The fancy, right?
They're separated. It's a good stick. It's a good
I liked
stick.
it a lot. I thought it was really good. I would say it's box worthy. Like, price aside, I would call it box worthy. I would want these in my humidor. I thought it was a really good presentation of that Oliva V blend. It had a lot of great flavors, a lot of good like sweetness coupled with that cedar. And it smoked like amazing because, you know, the shape of the cigar gives you kind of that different experience as you go through it, right? Like when it first starts, that ring gauge is really small, then it kind of opens up. Reminiscent of like an 1118, if you remember those cigars from Camacho. We could do like a whole show on cigars that they don't make anymore that we really wish that they did.
Oh, yeah.
Before Camacho.
Are we smoking one?
Yes. That would fall in that category.
That would fall in that category.
But like everyday smoking cigars before Davidoff bought Davidoff. Does Davidoff own Camacho?
Yes. Christian sold it to Davidoff.
Before Davidoff bought Camacho, Camacho used to make an 1118 sized Connecticut. It was kind of similar to this cigar in size and shape. But it's a very, very distinct size and very distinct tapering in the 1118. And they made an 1118 Connecticut, and those things were just delicious. They weren't terribly expensive. I would buy them by the box, like over and over and over again, and enjoyed them. And then the blend seemed to change at some point. I don't know if it was the sale to Davidoff or what have you, but the blend definitely changed, and they were not. It wasn't the same cigar. Like all the packaging, everything changed, including the blend, in my opinion. Like they used to come in this orange box, right? I think it was $25 to a box, and it was just like the best box purchase because you knew like every single one of them smoked great too. It was just amazing.
Can I make a suggestion for our next show?
Yeah.
Can we have a Davidoff show and talk about the end of the Davidoff era with the Kellners and the Eladio leaving? And
yeah, that's a
can we talk about that? Yeah. I'd love to go down that.
Talk about how the blends have changed.
Yeah,
like the blends have changed, and the pricing has not.
Right,
pricing definitely has changed.
Talk about white label versus black label. Yeah. I'd love to have a show around that because honestly, I like the Nicaragua. I do. Yeah. I like the Davi Nicaragua. But I'd love to have a show about the history and where they are now, because now the Kellner's gone, Eladio's gone. What's going to happen?
They're going to, a lot of that, it'd be good for the show.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but I'd love to go down that.
With Davidoff, have you had the late hour?
I have not.
Marketing was off on that. Yeah. You should have it first thing in the morning.
Yeah?
It's awesome first thing in the morning. Yeah.
No kidding.
Is that the Winston Churchill late hour?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. The first time I smoked this, it was in the morning, and I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, well, let me get another one. I'll smoke it when I'm supposed to, the late hour. And I had a late hour after dinner, and you're going out, and I'm like, like the marketing's way off on that one.
But no,
but
honestly,
spot on in that Churchill loved his cigars and scotch late at night.
Yeah.
He did. Or, I mean, early in the morning, I should say.
Right. It's so good in the morning.
He dipped them in port, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a show around that because Master Blender's gone. The ownership is gone. What's the future? You know what I mean? I mean, we're at a precipice right now for Davi.
But there have been some blends that were consistent with Davidoff for some time, and there are other blends that were consistent for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And then I feel like sometimes they weren't. And I mean, Henke Kellner is one of the most talented blenders ever. Ever.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how some of those can be kind of hit or miss. And now that did he pass away? Is that or did he retire?
I don't know.
I think
I should know this.
Yeah, I think the Kellner family has retired out, and then Eladio, who was there for 30,
I think he retired
30 years or something crazy. He's going to go off and spin off his own thing. He's already spun off his own thing.
That happens.
I think he retired.
Yeah, right.
Retired,
but, I mean, think about how many decades he's been around, though.
Yeah, he retired. The end of an era. It's kind of how they. They are one of the most experienced pioneers and experts in the cigar industry. Yes. I think one guest eluded us on this show, quite frankly. One of the few. But certainly maintaining that consistency.
Diaz Cabrera is his new line.
Interesting.
Yeah. Opening his own factory.
I did want to talk about one last thing because we talked about the Oliva that I really liked, and I think $18. Just getting back to the Oliva Series V 35th Anniversary Edition Limitada. At $10, I would buy this stick all day long. At $18 to $20,
you want to know the funny part? I jumped on that riliquor.com to look at the sticks they had. A Melanio V. Right, like Oliva V Melanio is $20.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But you are paying for convenience.
That much?
It's convenience.
That's what I'm saying. My delivery fee for liquor was like $50, dude.
Yeah, I guess.
$50 is a good bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
For sure.
Give me convenience or give me death.
I did want to talk about Butane Torch.
Oh yes.
Lighters.
Yes.
Great topic.
I got my Zippo, baby. I bought the butane insert.
You know, I've been all over the map with butane torch lighters and lighters in general. I'll leave cutters out of the mix and just focus this on lighters. I buy lighters like on Amazon, like the one I'm holding up now, like really cheap. There's a couple of different models of like really cheap butane torch lighters. That tends to be what I go to leave on the tables here, to keep on my desk, to keep at home. I keep a really cheap one in my bag because like I feel like lighters and cutters go missing, and so I go with the cheap ones, right?
Yeah.
I did though.
I like a good heavy one like this.
I like a tabletop too.
Those are harder to go missing.
Yeah, hard to go missing, but the quality in construction on these are not great.
Right.
I mean, unless you're going, what's the? I've used the really nice ones. What's the DuPont?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really expensive. We were talking $500, right, to get into a DuPont. I'm just afraid I'd lose it.
Yeah, seriously.
And they're typically not torch. They're typically a soft flame. I did one of my favorite lighters. I just have to throw this out here, and it stopped working and it broke. I probably should have gotten it fixed. It's around $150. It's the Colibri Boss Triple Jet lighter with the cutter on it. Yep. And I tell you what, for keeping in your pocket at all times, it is a good size that you want to keep it in your pocket. It's got like the kind of smooth lines where like it doesn't get caught on stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a triple flame torch lighter that there's a cutter that folds out.
Yep.
It was the perfect lighter to keep in your pocket. Now at $150, you don't necessarily want to lose it.
Right.
But like it stopped working. And I found this with...
So I was going to ask the question.
DuPont maybe aside. Every single... whether I'm buying the cheap-ass Amazon thing or I'm spending $150, it doesn't matter. I'm not picking on Colibri. I'm not picking on any... I've had quality issues. It only lasts so long.
So here's the question, though. This is why I want to ask it. There's actually maintenance you can do on your lighters. You can purge the butane.
Yes.
Right? And do the maintenance so that doesn't happen. I mean, this was $30 for the Zippo or $25 for the Zippo, and then I bought like a $18 insert so I could get the double jet flame on it. But I'm like, you know what? It's easy to keep in my pocket. It's like an old school Zippo. I want to keep it. I like it. You know what I mean? So maintenance on it, I'll do it. If literally it's taking like the tip of a little screwdriver and purging it every so often, and then refill it to make it last longer, I'm in.
What I find is the jets, whether you have one or two or three, can get clogged. That depends on what kind of butane you're putting in it, whether there's lint getting in it or not. Like I like the ones that have the cover for the top, obviously.
Yep.
You can take a Q-tip with some alcohol and clean those out. And also the other part that breaks is the igniter. That makes the little spark. So ones that I've had, like I've basically like given up on trying to buy like even nicer ones and maintain them because I'm just constantly like trying to do maintenance on it, like you're saying, Jason, but it not really working out.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't have a lot of expensive lighters, right? I mean, this is probably the most expensive one I have.
keep one
and all in it probably cost me $55.
I can't remember the manufacturer. I keep one really nice cutter on my desk.
That's
at work.
this, baby.
right?
That's one.
Mine, like,
Le
is-
Petit. I'm carrying
that.
You have that?
Yeah.
I love this thing.
Mine's
I absolutely love this.
Mine's so heavy. If you threw it at someone, like you could knock someone out with it. I don't know if I've showed you the one in my, and you can customize it when you order it, and
Yeah.
it's several $100s for a cutter, and that's the one I keep in my desk.
Right.
Like other than that, I really don't keep like the ones that we get sent. Like this one was from Drew Estate. It's a rebranded Zycar.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
keep this on here. Like
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I guess my point is I'd really like to find one that's reasonably priced that won't break that I can keep on me
Sure.
at all times. The Calibri Boss was the closest I came to that.
Yeah. And I mean, if you can find a sale on these guys, like
What is that now? That
So
looks
this
like-
is
I have
it's
that.
a
You go to your barbershop.
It's a Les Fins Lames Les Petites from France. You order it from France.
Is it from
right?
France?
Yeah,
Really?
totally, 100%.
Surprising.
Yeah,
Based on the name, that was
yes,
surprising.
I know, right? So it is from France, but you keep an eye on it. They're usually like $150 a whack. I found it for like $85. That was on sale. Boom, order it, done.
Mine's in the process of being sharpened.
Is it?
Which let's talk about maintenance on that thing, right? I took it. I had a cigar conversation. I actually took it to a butcher. He was
Yeah.
like, I could sharpen it, and he's sharpened the top, but you know where the groove is,
Yeah,
where you cut
yeah,
it,
right.
He's actually taking it to a knife specialist as we speak. Who
Really?
actually has it, and this has been like
No kidding.
This has been the last 3 weeks of my life.
Yeah,
like,
but you
like-
can. So they give you a tool,
Yep.
so you can actually take the blade off and
Yep.
sharpen it.
Yeah, yep. I gave him
Fully
the
take the
tool.
blade off, so you're not affecting the handle.
There's only one. There's not a blade in the groove
Nope.
on the handle.
One
right?
blade.
Yep.
Can you hold that up? Can we switch the? Yeah. So there's one blade. I see. I like those because
Does yours have anything on the any engraving or anything?
It's just got the brand on the engraving, but you can actually buy blades, separate blades
Yeah.
alone.
Mine has the map of Cuba on it.
Got it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they do that. They
Yeah.
do that, and
Yeah,
you
it's
can
so
get
cool.
the handles with like the Cuban flag. They did a whole country series where you had like Nicaragua, Honduras, and they'll do like skylines from the capital cities and stuff like that. So super cool. I mean, and again, if you can find a good sale, I got this one for
Now,
$85.
do you only
so
use that for cigars?
only use this. For,
Yes.
yeah. Oh
Gotcha.
God. Yeah. Absolutely.
You don't want to use that as your pocket knife.
No,
Never.
no.
No.
I have
I
my
actually
separate pocket knife.
I actually have a separate pocket knife.
Yeah, I have
We
my
do a whole
separate-
episode on what we carry.
I have my separate
Everyday
pocket
carry
knife.
episode.
You carry for pocket knives. Yeah, it's
Can
just-
you?
yeah.
I actually learned how to do V cuts on that thing.
With this?
Yes, I can actually.
Oh,
I
you're
can
gonna
actually
explain that to
I can
me.
actually do like awesome V cuts on it.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm a V or bullet.
Yeah.
By like nature.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I got that,
Yep.
I was like, well, this is guillotine cut. Like that's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah.
is it's great, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
use it for guillotine for some cigars. But I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to do a V.
Right.
Took me like 5 sticks to get it.
Yep.
But I got it right.
That's cool. You're gonna have to teach me that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I
I'll teach
definitely
you
want to try
after
that.
the show.
The other cool thing that this brand has is they actually have, and I think you have one of those bracelets, right? It's like a beaded bracelet.
Yeah, I was just a Christmas gift.
That so they have that with a punch cutter on it.
Yes.
Really?
A
Yeah.
punch on it. So you open up your bracelet and boom, do a punch cut, put your bracelet back on, and they're super nice, just like that bracelet.
That's good in the pinch.
Super
Yeah,
cool.
super cool.
I got to run, guys.
Thanks, Adrian.
See you, Adrian.
Thanks, Adrian. Take care.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting ready to close out, but if anyone has suggestions, like I'm looking for really something I can keep in my pocket. Like
Yeah.
the reason I love the Calibri Boss is it's a cutter and lighter in one.
Yeah.
So I only have to keep one thing
Right.
in my pocket, which is nice. And it had the fuel efficiency. We talk about it like a car.
Yeah.
The fuel efficiency on it was actually pretty good. I get a number of lights on one
Yep.
on one fill.
Right.
The problem is the lighter port broke. Now
How
they
about, how about the butane? Do you use certain butane? I use Zycar. I have Zippo. Those two.
I use Zycar and whatever brand they sell next door, Lotus
Yep.
that they sell next door. That tends to be what I ordered like a 3-pack
Mm-hmm.
of the giant Zycar butanes for home. So I keep like one in the kitchen,
Yep.
one in my man cave,
Yep.
and one in my office or whatever. Right. So like in the smoking area, I have one.
Yeah.
In the office area, I have one, and in my kitchen, I have one. So I can refill all my. If
Yeah.
I'm going out and I need to refill my lighter,
I still haven't mastered the refill yet. Like every once in a like I'll sometimes I'll get it and it won't. I'm like, come on, and then it'll hit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Maybe it's the lighter itself.
Usually on the inside of the plastic cover, there's different tips that you can put on top.
maybe
Because
that's what I'm
sometimes your lighter will just be designed in a certain way where the default tip on the butane can won't fit in there quite right.
That's
And
my
so-
problem.
and they have
that's my
different
problem.
tips.
You just solved my problem. Oh my God, that is an app. Yes,
It'll spit out the side if you get it out wrong.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, right.
Yep.
I mean, it works, but it's a little bit of work, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is easy.
Just the tip.
Just the tip of the nub.
Of the nub. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on this edition of the Stogie Geeks show. Thanks for everyone for watching and listening to this episode. We'll see you next time.